The fitness solution. On the other end of the line today, I have the mother of online fitness. I have the most amazing person, Susan Niebergall, of everything. And I'm so happy and pleased that she's here to be able to talk to you and to be able to talk to me and everything else. We had some technical issues beforehand, and I cannot thank her enough for being patient with me. The joys of the internet. So Susan, say hello. How are you today?
Hi, thank you for having me. This is so great that this worked out, that we can see each other and talk. And, I love the mother of fit. That is so funny. I feel like I am everybody's mom, you know? Because in my eyes, everyone on the planet is younger than me.
Oh, bless you. No, not at all.
And in this industry, especially. So
yeah.
it's somehow a fitting title.
I mean, I feel like that at 33. So,
you haven't even hit the best decade yet.
I can't wait.
The best decade is far down the road from you. Seriously, I feel like the 50s are the best decade ever.
Well, in my head, the 50s were the best decade of the 1900s. So like 1950 to 1959 was a great time. So yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy my 50s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. Susan, if you don't know who she is, check her out. We'll tell her where to at the end of the podcast and everything. But Instagram's the best place. And it's Susan Niebergall Fitness, isn't it?
Yep.
Perfect. And she's here to talk to us today about fitness into later life, because I think I heard on one of your podcasts earlier, you're turning 60 soon. Is that too much to reveal?
Yeah, in about a month.
Oh, amazing. When's your birthday?
Yeah, next month, May 24th. I'm going to be 60. Yeah.
Are you excited?
No. You know, it's really weird because I feel like there's a part of me that feels like, wow, I'm in really a good place for my age, like a great place really for my age. But then it's like, holy crap, how did you get this old? Like, how did this happen? And, you know, mortality kind of hangs out in your head a little bit more as you get older. I mean, it does when you see your parents pass away and you have to care for them and things like that. So it's just in the back of my head. And, you know, now with this crazy virus going around, I am like in that age bracket that they talk about. It's like, how did I get to be one of them?
I know, right?
You know,
I feel like that now. I have to tick a different box in the brackets. You know, like when you get a questionnaire, it's like 15 to 20, 21 to 29. And now I'm the next bracket up. It's like, God, this is slipping through my fingers.
Yeah. It's, time goes really, really, really quickly. But, you know, am I happy to be where I'm at? Oh, yeah, 110%. Absolutely.
Well, for those who don't know who you are, I hope to God they're going to check you out, because Susan is a badass. She lifts weights like there's no tomorrow, and she builds muscle like I've never seen firstly, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, of someone your age, but then also just in general, like you're as fit as a fiddle.
Thank you. I love hearing that. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so good. I try. I work really hard. And it's so funny because people are, especially middle-aged women, because that's who are relating to me, obviously. I just want to let them know that, you know, I am not this genetic specimen of blah, blah, blah. I'm not an athlete. I am a klutz. I don't have any background in this whatsoever, other than, I mean, I'm a certified personal trainer and have been for a while, but I didn't know any of that. I mean, I'm a musician and a school counselor. That's what I did for most of my life. So it's not that I'm anyone special. I am just someone that works hard and that figured it out. And that I now can build, I can build muscle. Can I build as much muscle as someone maybe your age? Probably not, but I can still build muscle. That's possible. I can still lose fat, of course. I mean, there's things that you still can do. Can I get a weighted chin up with 45 pounds? You damn straight I'm going to get it.
Wow. God.
I'm knocking on the door. You know, I mean, so there's stuff that you can do. That it doesn't matter how old you are. And I think that kind of stuff keeps this fresh.
Right, you know? The brain, yeah. I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this interview all day, basically. I've been listening to your podcast and I've been reading on your website. And, you know, I like to do my due diligence as a journalist when I'm on the other end of the microphone in this sense. And I was thinking about it. And for me, what you epitomize the most is the term fitness for all. And like, you are the living, breathing, incarnate fact that fitness is accessible for everyone and anyone at whatever stage of their life, in whatever manner they want to adopt it. You've particularly chosen lifting weights to stay healthy, but you know, and also your demeanor, your attitude, your friendliness is amazing. And the message you put out there of anyone can do it, no matter how old you are, no matter what you look like, no matter what you present as at the start. It's a journey for us all. And it's a journey that's going to take 10, maybe 20 years even. You know, it might not be what you're going to hear when you start, but that's what it is. And I think you epitomize that more than anyone I've ever come across before.
I really appreciate that more than I can even begin to tell you, because that is exactly what my mission is.
Well, yeah. Spread that. And that's why I love hearing you, talking to you, and watching you, being following you and everything, because I'm the same. Like, when I first got into this, I called myself the gym starter, because I want to get people started. I want to get people into it. I want people to know that it's not some crazy thing out there that's miles away that you can't quite get hold of, that you have to be a particular body shape. I mean, I'm 6'4", big-eared and lanky. Like, I'm not, you know, I mean, look at my biceps, they're tiny. I don't build muscle, right? I'm not that kind of, I'm just a different body type. There's a little bit. You're too kind. You're making me blush. And you have it at the other end of the scale, but exactly the same message. And it's just so incredible and wonderful. And all I want to say basically to you is just keep going, because it's great.
Yeah. Thank you. And I that's my plan. I joke a lot that I want to be doing this to, I plan to be over 100, and I still want to be that person that still does this. So it's really interesting, because over the last 5 years, which is really when I changed everything. My goals kind of have shifted too. Like, I was really at the beginning when Jordan Syatt was my online coach. He still is, actually writes all my programming, right? So when I first went to him because I thought I wanted to power lift. And so we kind of started with that. And as I evolved and he and I evolved, and, now I'm working with him and all these kinds of things. And I've been in the gym, and my goals have changed. Like, that's not a goal really of mine now. I feel like I could, I guess, but there's the factor of endurance for life that I want to do. And I don't think powerlifting would help me with that. Yep. Would it be cool to lift 300 pounds off the floor? Of course. I think that would be way cool. Is it worth what it might do to me physically? No, I don't think it is. So I've kind of altered course a little bit. Do I still try? I'm at 250. Okay, so I'm okay with 250 right now. But I'm giving myself other goals now in the gym, and they're all performance kind of focused. Like I was jokingly talking about the 45-pound weighted chin-up. That's a legit goal of mine. Like, I have it written down, and I am moving towards that goal. And I'm doing these daily challenges right now during the pandemic, just to keep me sharp and focused, because I'm not used to working out at home. Yep. I'm a gym girl. Yep. And so not having my gym has made me all discombobulated. Even though I have a small studio here, I can do most everything here, really. Excellent. But it's home, it's not. Yeah.
It's a different space, different energy.
So I give myself these challenges, what I'm doing now, chin-ups, the whole thing, just to kind of keep me going for the duration. Like, I feel like that keeps my mind fresh. It keeps my body challenged. I'm still building muscle. I went through this 6-month phase of dedicated muscle building. Came out of that great. Now I'm taking a break from that for a while. Probably go back into that after a while. Just for no other reason than just to see what it's like, see if I can do it.
Absolutely. And I always say in the gym to my clients, they'll turn up, they'll do stuff, and then they'll constantly apologize at me, right? They'll constantly apologize. And I just say to them, no, look, there's no right or wrong in here. There's just exploration. Yeah. All we can do is explore. And I think what's really great about what you just said about your recent journey is your goals have changed. Like, it's okay. If you've started coming to the gym and you get into it because you want to lose a few pounds, like everyone does, or, you want to get into that dress for your wedding or whatever it might be, that's fine. But then it's okay if you feel like that's not motivating you anymore, if that's not driving you forward, and you need to change tack. Like ships have to realign when they're sailing around the world. They have to change like thousands of times every minute just to stay in a straight line. Like, it's that difficult. And that's sometimes what we have to do in the gym. We have to just drive ourselves forward slowly, keep making little changes here and there, kind of zigzag our way through it. Like if you've ever sailed a boat, you have to zigzag your way through it. And changing your goals is a massive part of that. So what got you into fitness in the start?
You know, it's interesting. I'm writing a book right now, and I was just kind of going
Oh,
over
wow.
it. Yeah. And it's like a memoir of kind of my journey through fitness and all the mistakes I made for 30 some odd years, you know, which are very typical mistakes. But I started back probably in the 80s, the mid 80s, late 80s, something like that. Going to a gym and doing classes. That's where I started. And I loved the community piece. And back then they were all high intensity aerobic kind of classes.
Yeah.
Maybe you grabbed a pair of 5-pound weights and did something. I don't even know. But
Or like Jane Fonda workouts.
yeah, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely it was. But what was cool about it is the community that it built, you know? You got the same people going to the Sunday morning class or whatever. And that kept me going back. And I would look at the trainers over in the free weight section and just think, well, that looks kind of cool. I mean, I'm wondering what they're doing. So eventually I signed up with a trainer at that gym. And that's how I kind of got into the lifting part of it. That was back in the 90s. And from the 90s to when my son's 22, I worked with, a lot of different trainers over the years, and everyone brought something different to the table because at those different decades or those different pockets of time, things were different.
Yeah,
things
different
kept changing,
focuses.
you know?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from a lot of people. And I became like a gym rat. I don't know how else to describe me. I was a gym rat. And then, but my job at the time, I was a school counselor.
Right.
And so I talk to people for a living. I talk to kids, I talk to their parents, and I'm problem solving. And I thought, that's a great marriage. Sounds like that's a great marriage with that and my passion of being in the gym.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to get certified. And so that's how I got certified. And then as I was still a school counselor, I got a part-time job at a local gym 2 days a week. I would be at school until 3:00, and then I would go to the gym and train from 4 to 8. And then that's how it all started. And then I would train people at my school. After school, we had a little weight room in my school, and I would train some of the staff there. And that's how my business started building from that piece. And then it's just opened up a lot.
Exploded up a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And now my big focus is with the Inner Circle that I coach with Jordan. That's a big online group community.
Yeah.
But I'm a big part of that, and still my own business with a handful of clients on my own. And then what I love the most though is connecting with people like this, like what you and I are doing, being able to meet people I would never have met, chat with people, be able to help people. I'm hopping on the phone with random people all the time, and they're like, why are you hopping on the phone? Because I like to talk, obviously. I like to talk and I like to help. And so it's kind of been in my nature for forever, really.
Yeah. You must be a fantastic listener though, because obviously you can't be a school counselor without that. So as you know, the two come in balance, don't they?
Oh yeah. I think the listening part is so important. And it was interesting when I first started out as a trainer, the dealing with the person was normal for me. That's what I did every single day. And that's where a lot of new trainers really struggle. What was hard for me was remembering anatomy and remembering moving parts and things, because I was coming from music and psychology, not anatomy, you know. So I had to learn. That was a crash course and through all my coursework and things like that. But yeah, listening, because honestly, if you have a client and they don't feel like you get them or you're understanding them, or that you relate, or they can relate to you in any way, shape, or form, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm exactly the same. My background is in acting, so I'm a fully trained classical actor, like Shakespeare a lot, and very artistic. But what drama school taught me was the psychology, was the listening, was the understanding, the getting to know how to work as a team with people very quickly, building an ensemble, and all of the psychology that goes into building a character, I use every day in the gym. Not right now, but every day in the gym when I am in the gym. And I'm so thankful that I've kind of done it this way round, rather than learning the anatomy and knowing the physics behind it and building my body first and everything else, because I feel like I have a completely different approach. And that approach serves me very well and serves my clients very well. It's kind of like you just stand up from the crowd a little bit, right?
I think so. I really do. I think it's, the listening piece and reflecting to your clients is super important, and validating their feelings and validating their frustration. You know, how many people do we ever talk to that's frustrated because the scale went up overnight or something? You know, those kind of constant things. Totally get it. I mean, I'm one of those. You know, we all have that gut of, oh crap, the scale went up. But then it's like, bring me back to reality. Here's what's happening. We understand what's happening, you know, and that's how you work with your clients. It's just practicing those skills and letting them feel free enough to talk to you, and you listen and you validate and you reflect, and all those counseling skills. Absolutely.
And them understanding that you're learning together at the same time. Like I'm learning about you as quickly as I can, and I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. And when I do, I'll hold my hands up and we'll move on together. And it's nice. I have such a good relationship with my clients like that. I'm really grateful, really thankful.
And that's why you will be successful. I mean, I know you are, but you will be, because that's the most important part in my book.
No, absolutely. And I learned a lot of that from yourself, listening to you, from people like Kim Schlag and Jordan as well. Like, they're so good at that as well. So good at that. Like, just listening to Jordan's podcast, it's just the way the way he listens and picks it up and stuff. It's great. It's fantastic. And
he's
so
amazing.
so if you're a trainer listening, that's something very important. And even, you know what, even if you're not, if you're in a relationship with anyone, it's such an important skill to adopt and to take forward into all your relationships. Just listen more, understand, show empathy, and then move forward. I think, So, right. Well, what a great introduction. Should we talk like fitness? I don't know, 50 up, or like, so what happened to you from 50 onwards? What's the message out there for people who are, because I do train a lot of older people as well and stuff, and they get very intimidated by the gym. They're very scared. They think it's too late for them. They may never have done anything like this before, and now the doctors are telling them this, that, and the other, and they're suddenly like, and there's a lot of pressure on them, and they feel like I see a lot of, in the gym I train people in, there's a lot of older clientele, and you always get a sense they feel a little bit lost, a little bit apprehensive, and a little bit kind of feel like they're out of place. So I suppose my first question would be, if you are of that older age bracket, what's the best way to go about getting comfortable in the gym and kind of knowing what you do if it's such an alien environment to you?
Yeah. I think, honestly, the first thing I tell everyone, if it's possible, the best thing you can do is hire someone like you at the gym. Seriously, I mean, you don't have to like subscribe to packages for a year, but even however many sessions. So you have an appointment, you have an obligation to show up. So there's the accountability piece there. And then you have someone that you can develop a relationship with who can guide you through not only exercises to do, but also how to do them safely. Because I think that's what's on a lot of people's minds is, I don't want to get hurt. Like, I'm afraid. And I'd be afraid if I didn't know anything and I'm walking into the gym going, okay, so what do I do? You know, that's why it's worth whatever the investment is to get somebody there live in person. I have a lot of people reaching out to me who want to work with me online who've not ever set foot in a gym. I'm like, that's not where you ought to start. That's not going to serve you well. What will serve you well is going to a gym, hiring someone at your gym to take you through some basic stuff, make sure you're doing everything correctly, get some confidence in you, and then later you can come to me. Because at that point you'll be ready to do that, but not at first, you know? And I think just having that helps, well, anyone of any age really, but especially middle-aged people, because the typical middle-ager that doesn't know what they're doing will go to the gym and they'll go over to the weight section, look around and see all these people that look like they know what they're doing, and most of them don't, but it looks like they do, right? And they're afraid because people are going to start looking at them or judging them, and then they're like, you know what, I'll do that another day, I'm just going to go down to the elliptical or whatever, and then there they stay. And that pattern gets repeated because they really don't have a plan, they don't know what to do. So always having that person, I mean, to help you, it's so worth whatever investment it is. And then you can look at all kinds of options out there, because, you know, online there's a ton offering really good programs or coaching or whatever, but getting that foundation is super important.
Absolutely. I often find as well, you need to develop that relationship. You need to like you have to go in there willing to listen to the person, and I think you also have to be willing to understand that they might not be right for you. Like there's a lot of trainers out there who might not be able to understand where you're at, the age you're at, it's sort of, and everything else. So you might trial one, you might have to trial another one, you might have to shop around a little bit, whether you get a good feeling from them or not, and you need to just allow those mistakes to occur from time to time, in order to make sure you find the right ones, keep you in the groove. Because
and not just throw in the towel and say, well, it didn't work. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. Like if you're looking for a therapist, the same thing. I mean, just because you go to therapist A doesn't mean you and therapist A are going to click. No. But it's fair to give therapist A more than one session to try. You know what I mean? To have a fair, accurate assessment. Yeah. But I think your point's very well taken. I have a lot of women that come to me because they say they can relate to me, or they feel like I can relate to them because we're in the same age bracket. Yeah. And part of that I get that 100%. There's something, especially if you're intimidated to go into the gym, when you have someone who looks more like you, who's been through some of the physical changes that you've been through. Yep. They can understand that stuff. So I get that. But I also understand that there are people out there who are way younger than me, males who've not gone through menopause or whatever, who would be great coaches for anyone, as well. And I, because I don't want to say, well, if you haven't gone through any of this, then you can't help somebody, whatever, because I think that's bull. I think it's just the person. So I understand both sides of that. There are a ton of good people out there, but I also understand how people can relate to somebody who's been through this time of life too. I think that's a big factor, honestly, because things changing and the thought of change as we get older is super hard. Like, I think that's one reason why this pandemic is freaking me out, because I'm starting to internalize that this is going to be bringing on some permanent changes in the future. Yep. And whatever they are, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, they could be minuscule, but that thought of getting me out of what I know is really terrifying to someone my age. And maybe it's terrifying to anybody. I don't know. But I think as we get older, change is harder, because we're more stubborn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all know how difficult it is to change, 20 years of eating habits in someone who's 25, who's 30, and they're trying to lose weight and all they've done is eat cereal for breakfast every day. Like, just changing that is hard enough, let alone when you get to someone who's your age or even a bit younger or still, and they've got these ingrained habits that's so like train tracks furrowed into their brain, and the, neurology is just for that all the time. They just can't deviate from it no matter what you do. It's really hard, and that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
it's so hard. And hopping on that, I think that there's something to be said for people that have thought for 30-40 years that some form of nutrition was the way to go. Like I hear all of the time, well, I'm eating clean, and I just want to pull my hair out with that word, because I said that for a million years and it did me no good. I mean, it's not that the quality of the food is bad. Of course, that's always good. Nutrient dense foods, blah, 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 blah. Got it. But what I didn't pay attention to for all of those years I was eating clean was how much of that clean am I eating, and there's a lot of high calorie clean foods out there.
There is a hell of a lot.
There's a lot. And so you think you're doing the right thing.
Yep.
And you really aren't. And you're frustrated because you'll lose, because you'll over restrict calories. And of course you're going to lose, but you never can keep it off because it's not realistic. Mm-hmm. And there goes your yo-yo train, which is what I was on for 40 years probably. And it wasn't until a handful of years ago where literally I was in my bathroom. I looked down at my belly and I just said, what the hell has happened to me? I'm a fitness professional and look at me. I can't even keep myself together. And then I started thinking, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's menopause. It's metabolism. It's blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So I went to my doctor. She ran all the tests and she comes back. She goes, no, your metabolism is fine. And I'm like, what? I didn't want to believe it, but that moment I didn't believe her at first, but that moment I think is where it all changed. I had to eventually take responsibility for what I was doing. And shortly after that is when I started coaching with Jordan. And so you put all these pieces to the puzzle, and now I was on a completely different track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that moment comes different for different people, doesn't it? Big time. I mean, I've always had that moment. I was born with a heart condition. I've got pulmonary stenosis, and I've got a massive scar down the center of my chest, which tells me every day that I have to be aware of myself. Like, I never used to think about it much when I was younger, but now I'm like gone through my late 20s, early 30s. You think about it a hell of a lot more, especially at the moment, pandemic, everything else. You're just a little bit more sensitive to things. And that moment comes, it definitely comes differently at different times for different people. But I wonder how did you find kind of re-educating yourself at the middle-aged part of your life in terms of diet, in terms of what to do in the gym, in terms of unpicking all that kind of 80s fitness that you grew up with and was ingrained, and you saw these great spandex lad people on TV doing, leg raises and side planks and stuff. And then like you suddenly connect with, your online coach Jordan, and he's like, okay, right, well, calories are king. Like, you don't have to count them, but they will count. You've got to start lifting really heavy weights. I'm going to make you a badass. Like, did you find that really hard to comprehend? Did you find learning about all calories and stuff difficult? I mean, I suppose you was already a certified coach. Did you already have an upper hand in that?
Yeah, no, I didn't actually, because I thought I was doing everything right. So I hadn't even ventured into really counting calories that much ever, because I was one of those people that thought, well, that's going to be a miserable experience. I mean, that's going to take the fun out of my life. Why would I do that? I'm eating healthy. That's all I need to worry about, But it was interesting when I went to Jordan, I had already started losing some weight at that point, because there was a block of time between my doctor's that whole reality check and when I started working with him. And I didn't track her or anything. I just became a little bit more aware. That's kind of how it all started for me. I didn't own a scale, so I didn't know how much I really weighed unless I went to the doctor's office and stepped on their scale like once a year or whatever, and went through that whole heart attack, every time. The anxiety of stepping on that scale was awful. But, with Jordan, at the time he was coaching, you could do nutrition and training or whatever. I didn't do nutrition coaching with him.
Right.
I didn't. I just did training, and the goal was powerlifting. So I had been lifting pretty heavy. My form was terrible. I look back on stuff and thinking, my God. So that helped. I mean, training like that really helped. And because I was that client that would send him a video of every single thing I did.
Right.
To learn, because that's how I wanted to learn.
Yeah, but communication's really important.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And honestly think and maybe a side tangent here, if anybody is going to work with an online coach, you need to take advantage of every single thing that they offer up. And many offer up, I'll watch your videos for technique analysis, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't do that, you are hurting yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I totally believe that. And there's no secret that all the clients of mine that have been very successful are the ones that do that. And there's obviously more to it than that, but that is just taking advantage of everything that is being offered to you. So I was doing that with the Jordan, sending him, I'm sure he hated my emails because it's like, here's a bunch of links. He's like, here she goes again. But I got so much better because of that. But from the nutrition standpoint, I read everything he wrote. I watched every video. I was in the inner circle as a member as well. And I sort of applied this on my own. It just started clicking. And here's the thing, and this is super important. It's what he and I talk about all the time. I started taking action. I started seeing results. That kept me going.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's where your motivation was, right?
Yes. It's that circle that he and I talk about all the time. I didn't wait to get motivated. I started taking action and started noticing changes. And that's how it happens. So that's how it happened for me. I didn't have an upper hand in counting. To this day, I don't use an app if I count calories at all. Yeah. And I haven't in a long time. I don't use an app because technology drives me crazy. So I won't use it. I use a spreadsheet. I started with a piece of paper, literally. I just use a spreadsheet now, and I'll just put a new tab when I want to start counting again. I'll just start, and literally I write it all down. And if I need to know calorie numbers, I'll Google it. I mean, that's kind of how I operate. And I know a lot of middle-aged people don't, the whole technology piece. We're that generation that are like, none of this is intuitive, let's say, for most of us. And so I keep it simple. People make fun of me all the time because I don't use MyFitnessPal or whatever, I just don't want to mess with all that stuff. I have a hard enough time keeping storage on my phone, I mean, but I don't want to do all that. So
the great wonder of that is you can do it and you don't have to have these apps, right?
Yeah.
These are like, I think we live in a world now where people think that if you're not using all of these things, like especially like even trainers, if a trainer doesn't have his own app, if a trainer doesn't have this or that and everything else, then they're not worthy. But actually, like, just it doesn't matter how stuff is delivered. If it works for you, it works for you. So if you can figure out the way you want to get from A to B, and you've got a system that you're going to feel comfortable dealing with, especially if you're going through a lot of changes elsewhere, right? Especially if you're being told you've got to work out 3 times a week, especially if you're being told you've got to lift weights and you've never done that before, especially if you're being told, hang on, we need to get more vegetables into your diet, move away from the alcohol a little bit, whatever it might be. You're going to have a lot of challenges coming your way. And then throwing in something as complex as MyFitnessPal, that's just a recipe to stop you from being able to carry on, right?
I think so. And my goal is always to keep things simple with people, especially, as they're getting older, it's intimidating to hop in and think, I've got to do all these changes at once. And I'm like, no. Let's just start with you. And this is where a piece of paper and a pencil comes in handy. Literally write everything down you put in your mouth during the day, whether it's a drink, whether it's a sip, whether it's a bite. You don't have to weigh or measure anything. Just write it on a piece of paper, because what you're going to start doing is seeing exactly how much you're consuming in a day. And as you keep doing that, you're going to start saying, you know what, I'm not going to have that bite of whatever because I don't want to write it down. So change is going to start happening just from being aware, because that's where it all starts. My son, as a matter of fact, has lost probably 60 plus pounds from starting. He just did that. He asked me how to start, and this is what I told him to do. And he has not yet weighed or measured or tracked a single calorie. He's aware up here. He's making better food choices. And over the course of about a year, he's lost about 60 pounds. He looks like a completely different person.
That's amazing.
And it is amazing. And it's a great testament to show that, if you want to really dial it in, you obviously can. And if he wants to really get a little more focused, he's going to have to start probably dialing some things in. But really, it's awareness, because we're mindlessly eating, especially now when we're all trapped at home more often, than we ever have been. We all go over to that snack drawer over there, and for no apparent reason, and we just start putting things in our mouth. So writing it down, it's the best place to start. And maybe after you've gotten that down, then you can start with something else. But I always have people just start with the awareness.
Yeah. It's like, I'm exactly the same. I say to people, look, I don't need you to track calories. I need you to almost educate yourself on calories and what calories are like. So if you're getting something out of a packet, this is how, if people want to use MyFitnessPal, I'll say to them, look, if you're making home cooked stuff, that's fine. Like, it's really hard to track on MyFitnessPal. Just forget about it, okay? If you're making a nice, even a roast dinner, or if you're making a lasagna with lots of vegetables in it, as long as it follows the principle of protein and vegetables, you're doing well, okay? And then I'll be like, but if you're getting something out of a packet, just scan the barcode and have a look. Just lift it up and go, how many calories are in this? It's written on there. All right, it's an estimate, but it's a guide. And just making yourself more calorie educated is going to just accelerate your knowledge. And then people will be like, I never knew how many calories were in two teaspoons of peanut butter. I'm like, I know, right?
Their mind is blown. Their mind is blown.
Absolutely. And it's just a lack of education.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is I like to talk to people about is going out to eat, because, menus have gotten better at restaurants. They try to post calorie numbers. But I mean, you and I both know that those numbers aren't really accurate either. you go to a sit down restaurant and you don't know who's cooking, and you don't know if that guy's doing like this with the oil or like this
It's
with
the
the
oil,
oil.
isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I mean, the food tastes phenomenal for a reason.
It's like Jordan's Big Mac challenge, isn't it? It's like, yeah, Big Macs are great.
About that, Jordan's Big Mac challenge, the calories in a Big Mac, wherever you go, are going to be about the same.
Yeah,
you know, because a Big Mac is a Big Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you go to a sit-down restaurant and you order this chicken and vegetables and blah, 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 and you think you're eating 600 calories, you're probably eating 859, you know, just because of the variables of the chef or whatever's happening that day. And people's mind are blown by that. And so it's not saying that you can't ever go out. Of course not. It's awareness. It's keep that, like, if you go out a lot, if you're one of those families that go out a lot and you're struggling to lose fat, that's some place that you're going to have to look at, because
it's a massive,
if you're adding 25 to 30% of those onto those calories, then you're probably not tracking accurately enough for going out that much, you know?
It's a massive trend I see. Those who don't, those who, go out a lot, socialize a lot, especially weekends, you know, city workers, stuff like that, office workers. They really struggle. They really struggle. And don't matter how diligent. And the thing is they're really strict at home, and then they're still struggling, and they get very frustrated because, and they just can't make it up. They're like, but I'm being very strict at home. Why can't I enjoy 3 nights out eating? I'm like, because that's quite a lot, actually. In terms of the world, not many people eat out a restaurant 3 times a week. Or one of my best friends, he works in sales for a finance company, and he's always out entertaining clients, and he's always out drinking, and he's always out, and it's part of his job, and it's really hard for him to balance it all. He's getting a grip on it, but it's really hard. And those kinds of things just don't help.
It's like people that tell me, you know, I'm only eating 1,200 calories and I'm not losing weight. And I'm like, you know, if that person could be one of the very few people where a number that low could be appropriate, but chances are they aren't. You know, chances are they've been overly restrictive in the scenario that you just mentioned through most of the week. And then on the weekends, they loosen the reins. They think just a little, but what they've done is loosened them completely. And they don't remember that part. They only remember the 1,200 during the course of a week. So I'm only eating 1,200 calories. Well, no, you're not. You're actually probably averaging way more than that because of this. We're not tracking as much on the weekends. Oh yeah, I had this couple lattes today, those things that are just kind of going out of their head. Because people don't understand how they can lose weight when they up their calories a little bit. And the thing is, you're still in a deficit, but you're able now to sustain it. Because the whole point of being in a deficit to lose weight is to eat as much as you can and be in a deficit, not to starve yourself.
Absolutely. I heard you say that earlier. It's so important. That's so important. You're not there to starve yourself. You're there to get as close to that figure as you can. So you're enjoying yourself, right? And then you will also have more energy. So your NEAT will go up. You're not going to be sitting down a lot more, sleeping a lot more, and all the rest of it. Like you're fueling your body to the best possible degree in order to still lose weight. And I think that's great. On your point earlier about people like not tracking or like the fact they're just writing it down, they're getting more educated. I have a lot of people who simply refuse to track their calories because they are scared of finding out the truth.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing I find. It's like, you're going to find out some home truths, and you've got to be ready to understand those and get used to them and realize that actually this is one of the issues that you've got to deal with. And until you do that, you're not going to get on top of it, right?
I think that the education that you get from putting in that kind of work is going to be something that stays with you forever. Like I'm a great example of that. I tracked for a period of time and I haven't tracked since. I went through 6 months of muscle building and didn't track anything. And the reason I could do that is because I had basically been in maintenance prior to that for years, a couple years. I know what I can eat to kind of stay where I am because I had previously put in a lot of time and effort in learning calories and learning protein and learning portion sizes. And so because of that, I know where my maintenance is. So when I decided to build muscle, I decided, okay, 3-4 days a week, I'm just going to eat a little bit more than that. So at the end of a week, I'm in the plus column. And a lot of people pushed back with me and said, well, wouldn't it be more accurate if you tracked everything? I'm like, well, yeah, duh, of course it would. I mean, but why would I want to do that? I don't care. I mean, it's not like I have to have so much muscle and I have to do this. It's like I'm doing this because I wanted to do it. And I'm doing it this way because I can do it that way. And I did, you know, my goal was 1 pound a month. For 6 months, I gained 1 pound a month. Exactly. But the path to get there was like, I mean, it was crazy.
Like it always is.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
But I'm 6 pounds heavier now than I was, you know, then. And that's why I'm doing this whole tangent chin up thing, because chin ups felt like lead with 6 more pounds on me. You know, hadn't thought that part through.
No. Whoops.
I'm like, wait a minute. Why are they so heavy now? And I'm like, oh, the hell with that. So I'm doing chin-ups every day so I get stronger at my new weight. And so 3 weeks ago, I started with 6 every day. And then after 2 weeks of that, 7 every day. Now I'm up to 8 every day. They're flying up now because they're just, you know, but anyway.
Yeah, well, that's just progressive overload, isn't it? Which is a whole other thing, right?
It is, yeah. And it's consistency, which really is the answer to all of this. Like Absolutely. If you want to lose weight, I don't care how old you are, you have to be consistent. And a lot of people think they are being consistent, but if they actually take the time to track how consistent they're being, where they think they're 85%, they're probably 50%. And
what's your key to being consistent? To creating consistency?
You know, planning. I will plan when I'm tracking and things like that. I will plan what I'm going to eat the night before, right. You know, so before I go to bed, I know how my day's going to look nutritionally. Right. I have planned, this is what I'm eating for breakfast. This is what I'm eating for lunch, dinner, snack, or however I do it. But that's where most people go wrong, is they wing it from meal to meal. Okay, I'm coming home from work. I'm tired. Well, you're not coming home from work. You're still home right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right? But back when we could go to work, you're coming back from a long day at work. You're tired. You're hangry. You walk in the door. Your kids need you for everything. And you have to figure out a meal that will fit into your calorie numbers. Are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. You're going to say, screw it. Let's order out. I'll get back on it tomorrow. You know, that's why just taking that 10, 15 minutes and figuring it out before you go to bed. So you may still have to cook it, but at least you know what the plan is. You know, you don't have to figure that out. You can just cook it and be done with it, and it meets your guidelines or whatever. But I think that's the most underrated part of consistency, is just planning.
Yeah. I take that on board. I'm not a very good planner. I'm not a very good planner with anything. But interestingly, at the start of the year, I started putting all my workouts into my diary. And it was amazing. Like, I was waking up, I was achieving them, I was going to the gym. I've always been quite an inconsistent being when it comes to things like that. Just because my mind's very scatty, it's very creative. Like, I'll always be working on something, but it might not necessarily be my fitness. It might just be my business, or it might be something else. Yeah. And I'll always be doing something, but that thing is never really consistent for a sustained period of time. And it wasn't until I started putting in my diary, I was waking up at 5 o'clock each day. I was getting into the gym. I was going there. I was doing it. And it was feeling so much better. I felt great for doing it. And I started to prove to myself that I could do it. I used to tell myself the story that actually, I'm not the kind of person that gets up and gets into the gym by 6 a.m. Actually, I was, because I was planning to be that person. And that changed who I became. And that was great. That meant a hell of a lot to me. How would you say kind of working out changes as you get older? Like, does energy reserves deplete a lot? Does anything have to change in the gym? What kind of considerations do you have to kind of take in place for that?
You know, so everyone's very individual with that, but in general, what I find is, and people get really surprised, middle-aged people get really surprised about this. They think there are special exercises just for them. Like, there's certain things that only middle-agers should do. And that's not how I roll. We should be doing everything that anybody else should be doing. How we do them can be different. Like, maybe everyone should squat, but maybe you don't have a heavy bar on your back. You know, there's a lot of other ways you can squat. You don't have to have a bar on your back. Everyone should deadlift. Everybody should deadlift. but that doesn't mean you're pulling 250 pounds off the floor. You know, I mean, there's just those basic exercises are what everyone needs to do, regardless of age. And people get blown away by that. But you obviously are not going to have someone new to lifting go up to a barbell and say, okay, go ahead, lift that. You know, no, I mean, there are ways to progress people. But what I find is as people get used to this and lift, what they find is this confidence that starts coming in. Not only confidence just to walk in the door of the gym now, but confidence that bleeds over into all parts of their life. You know, maybe they will start a business at age 57, you know, or whatever, like me. I mean, good God, who would have thought I would have done that? You know, maybe it's taking a class you've never taken. Maybe you're going to speak up for yourself now if you're getting into a conflict. Whatever it is, lifting heavy weight just changes everything. And especially up here, you know? And I think that's the part I like to try to get out to people. And it's hard to say that in words until you actually do it and experience it.
Yep. Then
people know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, I can't give it its due justice verbally.
No. I get that. I mean,
I can't.
Yeah.
But it will, and you hear this term a lot, but it will change your life. 100%. I guarantee to anybody out there who's not really done a lot with weightlifting, but if you get the proper training and you really start lifting some weight, heavy, and I say heavy weight, and that's relative to the individual.
Yeah.
I think that's super important to understand. You can progress that from wherever you are, but lifting heavy weight is not only going to build lean muscle mass and improve your bone density, which is so vital for us as we age. It's going to flip this switch in your head, and your life is really going to take on a whole new look in a positive way, I think.
I could not agree more. I don't think that's like, I've just seen, we've been chatting for 47 minutes, which has flown. So I think that's such a great note to finish on, especially finishing on the note that deadlifts, everyone should deadlift. But I just like to end with like a quick fire thing, if that's cool. So Absolutely. What would be your 5 top tips for someone over 50 to start lifting weights?
To start lifting in particular?
Yeah, why not? Or no, right, start getting fit. Let's make it more open, yeah?
Okay, so nutrition-wise, start writing every single thing down that you put in your mouth. Every drink too, even if it's water, write down and start becoming aware of what you're consuming, because you can start making changes just from that. So that's one. As far as working out, go to your local gym. And, you know, even if you just start by going on a treadmill or something, go get in the environment and then start watching people in the free weight section, and then hire someone. Hire someone for a handful of sessions so you can learn the basics of strength training, okay? And then aside from that, after that, nutritionally, you can start counting your calories. If you want to use an app, you can do that. If you want to use Google and your little calculator, that's cool too. That part, however you want to do it, you could start doing that. And then your eyes are going to open with how many calories are actually in this bite of something that you had, or the handful of this that you had. Then you're going to start educating yourself even more. But we've taken that in steps too. And then with the gym, really after you start getting someone to help you, then if you want to explore classes, great. If you want to explore online coaching, do it, but start pushing yourself into the gym, and that will mean getting out of your comfort zone. Like, you find weight, not that you can easily move for 10 reps, and this is maybe another little tangent, but if you can move a weight for 10 reps 3 times and it's kind of easy, you need to add more weight. I mean, people ask me all the time, how much weight, how do I know? That's how you know. You know, I'm almost like, if you can see the thought bubble of, I've got to do the shopping, I've got to pick the kids up, I've got to do this, I've got to do this for work and everything else, as you're doing a lat pull down, if you can see that thought bubble in someone's head, they're not lifting heavy enough. Like, it's like, it has to pull, in order for exercise to be good for you, I say it has to pull you into the present. And by doing that, and it's just too easy, it's not pulling you into the present. So increase the weight until your whole focus for that minute or 2 of your life is on that weight, and you're going to be winning. I mean, Jordan likes to say weightlifting should not tickle, and that's exactly right. Great. I mean, it shouldn't tickle, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to make you nervous sometimes. And people say, well, what if I can't get all my reps with the new weight? Well, then go and get as many as you can, you know, put the weight down, go get the lighter weight and finish it out. And now your new goal is get them all that with that new weight, you know, I mean,
just
that's
experiment.
Yeah, that's how it is. So I've probably gotten 3 or 4, but in general, you know, write everything down that you eat and drink. Then you could start tracking calories, get into a gym. If you want to take classes, great, start there, whatever, hire somebody to show you strength training, because classes and strength training are 2 very different things. And not that one is bad or good, whatever, they're just different, but focus on getting strong. When you start focusing on strength, everything changes, everything. You will start to lose weight. You will, if your nutrition is in check. You will gain confidence. You're going to be able to do things you never thought you could do, you know? So yeah, I don't know how many that was, but whatever.
That's fine. That's more than enough. That's more than enough.
I don't count.
That's fine. It's fine. I lost count. It's great. It's all right. We'll free roll it. I'm crap at maths. Everyone knows that, so it's fine. I've got one last question for you. What musical instrument did you used to play?
Oh, so
or do you still play?
I was a music education major. I was a band director. So when you go through college, you have to learn how to play them all to some degree.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So flute was my major instrument. But in my university, big marching band, so I marched on a brass instrument, just so I had kind of, from an educator's perspective, what it's like to do both.
Right.
So flute and baritone were my 2 instruments.
Oh, wow, amazing. And did you used to like march at like college football games and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, was it like that? Was it? Oh, amazing.
Oh, I loved it. My son is a senior at the university that I went to, and my husband. And he's majoring in music as well. He's really phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Great. We have a completely different kind of style of sport over here. We don't have marching bands pulling out the team. You know, you're lucky if you get 500 people clipping you.
You do have brass bands. And
we do.
So our university, JMU, has probably, I think they're the only American brass band that has been invited over to England to the Royal Northern College of Music to play at a big festival over there.
Oh, fantastic.
Mike was part of that. He's heavy into the brass band world.
Oh, good. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's great. It's nice to hear. It's nice to, especially being an actor and stuff. I love a bit of art. It's great. It's an important balance. Well, Susan, oh God, I nearly forgot. Where can everyone, and I'm sure everyone will, get in touch with you?
Over on Instagram, I'm over there a lot, Susan Niebergall Fitness. YouTube has grown substantially too, so I'm posting a lot over on YouTube.
Perfect.
It's Susan Niebergall Fitness kind of everywhere. So, and it's Niebergall. For some reason, people think my name is Susanny.
I know. I've been reading it like that all day.
They don't know where the first and last names start and end. I think it's kind of funny, and it's a running joke in the inner circle right now. I don't think anyone's called me Susan in a long time.
Oh, no. Well, I'll try to keep it as Susan.
It's all good. I'll answer to whatever.
Excellent. Susan, from the bottom of my heart, first of all, thank you for your patience in getting this set up and the technical issues. And secondly, just thank you so much for your quality voice in the field and all the advice you've given everyone who's listening. And myself, I've learned so much as well, which is always a delight.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And I hope everyone in America stays safe and you will stay healthy. All right.
You as well. Thank you so much.
We'll be fine. Perfect. Thanks so much.